Hello everyone, I'm Rachel from the Innisfil ideaLAB and Library, and in this Tinkershop tutorial we're going to learn a little bit more about the Trace Bitmap option. So this is how you can convert a JPEG image into a vector image, adjust it to your needs. Now, we're probably all familiar with the older version of Inkscape, but there's a newer version. So we're going to go over both of those right now. So this is the older version, and how we would bring in our images. We would go to File, Import, we would bring in one of our pictures. So I'm going to hit Open, hit OK. And I'm just going to go up to the Path menu and then click on Trace Bitmap. Now, in the old window, you would be able to have your brightness cut off here, and then you have your threshold. You have a few options below. And again, in this threshold is where you can adjust how dark your image will appear. So if I up it a little bit and hit Update, you can get a preview. And if I lower it and hit Update, you can tell it gets a little bit thinner. And then I can hit OK and bring it in. Now, that's with the older version. Now we're going to look at the new version. It's a little bit different. Now this is the newer version of Inkscape. The layout's a little bit different. We can see it's got a different heading here. The tools are laid out a little bit different, and same with the sidebars. Now I'm going to extend my page just a little bit wider, and we're going to do the same step though. We're going to bring in our image the same way. So go to File, we're going to import, and it's going to have a bit of a different layout. So I'm just going to go into Downloads. Okay, we're going to hit Open and hit OK. You can see our compass is just down here. We're going to make it bigger because there's a few parts in here. So you'll notice one, it's a little blurry. There's a gray outline around here. And when we go to Trace Bitmap it, this might not come up. So we're going to fix a little bit of that. So we can go to Path, Trace Bitmap. Now you can tell the window now has a different layout. So before, you still want to click on Trace Bitmap, single scan, and then you have your brightness cut off. You can change that though if you need to by hitting the drop-down menu. And then here's your threshold. So because this is very light gray, you can see right here in our preview when we hit Update, it's only capturing the black part. If you want it to be a bit darker, just hit the plus button and increase your threshold. When you hit Update, it'll start to bring up and capture anything that's in kind of a gray color. Hit Apply, and you can see it looks nice, but it's a little bit jagged. So if you want to change that, you can also try to smooth it. If you want to smooth corners, hit Update and hit Apply, and it does a little bit. But if you want to bring in another image, you can do that too. So just go to File, Import, Open, OK. Now this one's a little bit different. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. You can see it's got a black background, but what if we want to get in just the white parts? Say we want to only capture that. Actually, you can just click the Invert Image option, hit Update, and you can see it's starting to pick up all the fun things. Now we can increase this threshold, but watch what happens. When we hit Update, it actually goes thinner. So when we're doing Invert, you have to do the opposite. You're going to go lower in your threshold. So let's go down almost to where we were originally. Hit Update, hit Apply, and now we should be able to get some of the images that we captured. This one's actually pretty good. So that's turned out one way how you can invert when trace bitmapping. Now let's do one more, and we're going to go over a couple of different options here. So again, File, Import, hit OK. And then we have our last compass. So we're just going to go and make it a little bit bigger. We're going to unclick Invert because we don't need it. Because if we kept this, we would hit Update, and you can do like an opposite. Or we can hit Update this way, and we're able to capture that. And we can hit Apply. Now again, how do you tell which one is your vector image and which one is just your JPEG that you just imported? One, when it's a vector, it doesn't have a background. So you can probably notice there's a line right here behind our canvas. And you can see it's kind of transparent when you put it over top of other objects. If you click on your JPEG, you can click and drag it over, and it's kind of covering it up. And that's because it's got a white background. Now, when you have those white backgrounds in the laser cutter, it could show up as gray and recognize it as a color. So you'll actually get an engraving all the way around your square. Another way to tell is if you go over to your tools here, underneath your Move tool, there's an Edit Path tool. Click on it. And when you click this one, you can't select anything. But if you click on your vector, you can see all the nodes pop up. And this is where you can adjust the line or edit it or change anything about your image. And that's going over trace bitmapping with the newest version of Inkscape. So it's a little bit different of a layout from the older one, but it still holds all the same steps. So just get used to it. Again, get more familiar with it, play around, and see what else you can do with a couple of your options in your tool settings. So I'm Rachel from the Innisfil ideaLAB and Library. Thank you so much for joining me.